The time by Caricris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
A $194 billion shock, St. Lucia's growth agenda, and Paramount's hostile gamble. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, December 8, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, 194 billion Jamaican dollars in disaster losses triggers major youth-led resilience drive aimed at protecting Jamaica's economic future. On the regional front, Pierre sets out growth mandate as he begins his second term. Youth economy and major infrastructure drive lead agenda. And over on the global stage, Paramount launches a US $108 billion hostile bid to top Netflix's offer in what could become one of the biggest media takeover battles ever. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the CBX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why CBX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Back to CBX Business News. We begin with a bold move to put young people at the center of Jamaica's resilience plan. Jamaica's spiraling disaster bill, now estimated at Jamaican $194 billion over the last 2.5 decades, is forcing a fundamental shift in how the country approaches economic recovery and long-term development. And for the first time, youth leadership is being positioned not as a social ideal, but as an economic necessity. At a National Post Melissa Forum, Director of Sustainable Development at the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, Nadine Brown, warned that repeated climate shocks have created a costly pattern.
Over the last 24 years, we have had over $194 billion in loss and damage, or 1.3% of GDP. So you heard DG spoke to it. He said that we have to get out of this cycle of loss and damage and having to recover and using resources that are scarce, etc., to recover. We have to come out of this cycle and build back better. Okay, wrapping up.
That was PIOJ Director of Sustainable Development, Nadine Brown. Instead, Director General of the PIOJ, Dr. Wayne Henry, says a new strategy is emerging, one that mobilizes Jamaica's youth as central actors in resilience building.
As outlined in Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan, resilience is not just a buzzword. It is a national strategy for survival and sustainable prosperity. Jamaica cannot afford to remain in what the plan describes as vicious spirals of disaster losses and mounting recovery costs. Instead, we must move decisively into vicious spirals or virtuous spirals of preparedness, mitigation, and effective response. You, our youth, are essential to leading and sustaining this shift.
That was PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry. Sagicor's Sigma Run, already the Caribbean's largest road race, will take on an unprecedented role in 2026, transforming into a Jamaican $150 million recovery drive targeted at rebuilding schools devastated by Hurricane Melissa. In a major shift from its traditional branding, the event will abandon the well-known slogan, "Run for the fun, donate for the cause," replacing it with "Run for the West" for this staging. Speaking at the launch recently, Sagicor Group Jamaica President and CEO Christopher Zaka says Sigma Run 2026 is now positioned as a strategic pillar in the private sector's contribution to post-disaster stabilization.
In recognition of the urgent need for support in Western Jamaica, for the 20th staging of Sigma Run in February 2026, we have decided to focus on continuing rebuilding efforts. Many of you know that our tagline has always been "Run for the fun, donate for the cause." However, we decided to make a change influenced by our new focus this year, and so we want all Jamaicans this year to come out and run for the West.
He says Sagicor plans to advance part of the funds up front before race day to accelerate urgent infrastructure repairs.
And we're going to move as swiftly as possible. In fact, we're doing something a little different this year. Once the PS works closely with us and the National Education Trust and cuts the bureaucracy out, which you have promised me you would do, we're going to front some of this money to get going before the run is actually concluded.
That was Sagicor Group Jamaica President and CEO Christopher Zaka. The 2026 JN Group Race for Hope is being positioned as a strategic private sector boost to post-Melissa reconstruction, with next year's staging set to channel funding directly into rebuilding micro-businesses owned by hurricane-affected women in Western Jamaica. At its media launch recently, organizers announced that 5 women entrepreneurs will receive recovery grants, marking the biggest mission expansion in the event's history. Event patron Her Excellency the Most Honorable Lady Allen welcomed the move, noting that investments in women entrepreneurs have economy-wide returns.
In the true spirit of national solidarity, a portion of the proceeds will also support 5 female entrepreneurs in Western Jamaica whose businesses were affected by Hurricane Melissa. Research consistently shows that when women entrepreneurs thrive, entire communities experience economic and social upliftment. So, this investment is developmental, restorative, and empowering.
That was Her Excellency the Most Honorable Lady Allen. In other news, Mayberry Investments Limited claimed one of the biggest honors at the 21st staging of the JSE Best Practices Awards, earning the Chairman's Award Member Dealer Overall for its strong performance and leadership across the brokerage sector in 2024. The firm was also recognized for helping to widen participation in the market, winning the Member Dealers Award for expansion of the investors and listed companies base. Mayberry added another placement as first runner-up for the Revenue Generation and Market Activity Award. They also tied with MVL Stockbrokers Limited as a second runner-up for the Investor Relations Stock Brokerage Award. Speaking with CBX News, Mayberry Investments CEO Patrick Bataille expressed gratitude for the wins.
It was about our fourth time going up there, and I was like, man, I'm tired of going up. But no, you can never go up there. I think I have an excellent team. I'm proud of them. You know, last year was my first time after being in this job for a year. I told them last year we needed to go home with no less than 4. We went home with 4 this year. Looking forward, this week I'm going to be talking to the team. Next year, 6.
That was CEO of Mayberry Investments Limited, Patrick Bataille. We go now to updates from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Monday's trading session, the US dollar is selling for $161.02, the Canadian for $116.62, the pound sterling for $215.66, while the going rate for the euro is $187.30. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 113 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 56 declined, and 22 traded firm. Leading the winners are Edufocal, Blue Power Group, Cygnus Real Estate Finance USD, and Access Financial Services, while leading the losers are Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, Kintyre Holdings JA, Pan Jamaica Group, and Proven Group USD. The main index declined by 3,485.16 points, or 1.11%, to close at 310,111.91 points. The junior market index declined by 31.70 points, or 0.96%, to close at 3,265.01 points.
Market education feature brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's market education feature, we're looking at currency crisis. A currency crisis occurs when a nation's currency loses value suddenly and sharply. This rapid depreciation disrupts exchange rates, meaning one unit of the currency can no longer buy as much of another currency as before. The result is economic instability and rising uncertainty. While there are often warning signs, currency crises can erupt abruptly. They may be triggered by government policy decisions, shifts in investor confidence, central bank actions, or a combination of these forces. No matter the cause, the outcome is similar. Pessimism spreads, capital drains from the economy, and the financial system faces significant pressure.
The market education feature was brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Diamond Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. St. Lucia's newly re-elected Prime Minister Philip J. Peer has signaled that his second-term administration will lean heavily on youth-focused economic expansion, accelerated digital transformation, and a robust public sector investment program to sustain growth and reduce vulnerabilities. Speaking after being sworn in for a historic consecutive term last Friday, Peer says the government has a clear mandate to confront youth unemployment, drive a digitally led economy, and pursue opportunities across the blue and purple economies.
We commit to do the following. Confront the scourge of youth unemployment by the expansion of the Youth Economy Agency. Drive a digitally led country where our citizens will be equipped to take advantage of the new opportunities of the growing digital space. Continue the transformation of our education system to create a culture of lifelong learning. Explore opportunities available in the purple and blue economies. Create the opportunities for all communities to benefit from the growth in the tourism industry. Continue our fiscal consolidation and debt curtailment policies to enable continued growth of our economy.
He also outlined one of the island's largest capital investment pushes in recent years.
We will embark on an impactful capital public sector investment program that includes construction of an upgraded Hiwanora International Airport Terminal, improvements to our water supply infrastructure, development and expansion of our seaports, construction of bus terminals.
That was Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip J. Peer. The Davis administration says a sweeping new anti-smuggling bill will finally give prosecutors the tools to dismantle multi-million-dollar human smuggling networks operating through the archipelago. Networks that strain national resources, undermine maritime security, and expose the country to reputational risk. Attorney General Ryan Pinder told journalists the proposed law closes long-standing loopholes that forced prosecutors to patch together charges from the Penal Code, Customs Act, and Immigration Act, limiting the state's ability to pursue criminal enterprises operating across borders.
The clear and unequivocal goal of the bill is to reduce human smuggling activity in our country, and to thereby reduce the number of migrants that are in the Bahamas. By criminalizing and increasing penalties for a wide range of activities associated with smuggling, we think this bill accomplishes just that. Migrant smuggling is a heinous crime and exposes vulnerable individuals to deception, abuse, and dangerous conditions. Without a strong legal framework, criminal networks and enterprises operate with impunity, placing lives at risk and undermining our national security. The bill strengthens our ability to hold smugglers accountable as it introduces stiff penalties for those who would exploit the vulnerable for profit.
He says under the bill, penalties will jump to US $300,000 and up to 15 years in prison.
Every individual who seeks to profit from human suffering and smuggling while endangering our country and endangering our people should know that the odds that engaging in their smuggling business will ruin their lives are about to increase dramatically. New penalties include fines of up to $300,000 and prison sentences of up to 15 years for violation of this new law. Until now, prosecutors pursuing smuggling charges have been forced to patch together different provisions from the Penal Code, the Immigration Act, and our customs laws. This new law closes those gaps, closes the loopholes on prosecutions, and provides a clearer and more robust set of rules to establish illegality and to increase punishment for this heinous crime.
That was the Bahamas Attorney General Ryan Pinder. In other news, Guyana has moved to expand its offshore energy portfolio, signaling a new production sharing agreement with Ghana-based CBX Energy for exploration activities in Block S7. The deal marks the latest milestone in the country's 2022 licensing round, which aims to bring new operators into one of the world's fastest-growing oil basins. Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat says CBX was among 6 companies awarded 8 blocks and is the second to finalize negotiations after Total Energies, Qatar Energy, and Petronas signed their PSA for Block S4 last month. Under the agreement, CBX will adopt the same updated fiscal terms, a 10% royalty on all petroleum produced, a 50-50 profit-sharing structure after cost recovery, and a 65% cost recovery ceiling. The company is also required to pay a US $15 million signing bonus to the government of Guyana. CBX plans to partner with a major Nigerian operator as it prepares to explore the shallow water acreage. Meanwhile, the government continues negotiations with other successful bidders, including ExxonMobil and its partners Cispro and Delcorp, with Watad Energy and Arabian Drillers. A third PSA is expected to be concluded before year-end. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 20 securities, of which 3 advanced, 10 declined, and 7 traded firm. Today's winners are Republic Financial Holdings, Agostini Limited, and Guardian Holdings, while leading the losers are JMMB Group, Grace Kennedy, Angostura Holdings, and National Enterprises. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index advanced by 5.94 points to close at 1,359.98. The Composite Index advanced by 0.74 points to close at 941.80. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.69 points to close at 69.17. The SME Index remained at 94.31. And we take a short break, but please stay with us. The international news is up.
Introducing the Corporate Services Unit, your go-to experts for corporate secretarial solutions. We offer statutory compliance, efficient minute taking, registered office address services, management of board and members meetings, setup and maintenance of corporate registers. Stay ahead with our proactive approach to new regulations. We operate under the Trust and Corporate Service Provider, licensed to the JCSD Trustee Services Limited. We're here to simplify your corporate journey, no matter the size of your company. Contact the Corporate Service Unit today and let's streamline your compliance journey together, because your success is our business.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back. In international news, Hollywood's takeover battle has intensified, with Paramount Skydance launching a $108.4 billion hostile bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, escalating its fight with Netflix. The all-cash $30 per share offer represents a 139% premium, backed by financing from Jared Kushner's affinity partners, Saudi and Qatari sovereign funds, and the Ellison family. The Warner Brothers Discovery Board says it will review the offer, but is not withdrawing its support for Netflix's $72 billion deal. Paramount argues its proposal offers $18 billion more in cash, faster regulatory clearance, and creates a combined studio that would rival Disney, Netflix, and Amazon. But regulators and lawmakers warn the merger could give Paramount near dominance in U.S. TV content. Paramount shares rose 8% on the news, while Netflix's fell nearly 5%. As Hollywood braces for a takeover showdown, another tech giant is making a blockbuster move of its own, this time in the AI data race. IBM has agreed to acquire Confluent for $11 billion, a major step in strengthening its AI-driven cloud infrastructure portfolio. Confluent's real-time data streaming technology powers enterprise AI systems, giving IBM greater control over the data firehouse, fueling generative and agentic AI. The offer price of $31 per share is a 34% premium, sending Confluent shares up nearly 30%. CEO Jay Krebs will join IBM Software post-acquisition. IBM expects the deal to enhance core earnings within the first year and boost free cash flow by year 2. The move extends IBM's recent buying spree following its acquisitions of HashiCorp and landmark Red Hat deal. From global tech consolidation, we turn to Mexico, where a sweeping trade proposal could reshape supply chains across North America. Mexico's Congress will this week debate a proposal imposing tariffs as high as 50% on goods from China, India, South Korea, Thailand, and Indonesia, countries without a trade pact with Mexico. The Sheinbaum administration says the move protects national industry and workers and could generate 70 billion pesos in new revenue. But industry groups warn the impact could be brutal, arguing the tariffs would raise production costs, disrupt supply chains, and choke off access to critical components for autos and electronics. Sources say the final bill may soften increases on auto parts and steel after pressure from business groups and concerns tied to next year's USMCA review. And finally, to the UK economy, where new signals from the Bank of England point to easing inflation. The Bank of England policymaker Alan Taylor says UK inflation is likely to return to the central bank's 2% target in the near term. He cites ongoing declines in wage growth and services sector inflation. Taylor has repeatedly pushed for faster rate cuts, arguing inflation could fall below the bank's projections. He was among the MPC members who voted for a rate cut in November. Markets now see an 85% chance of a BOE rate cut on December 18, but only one additional reduction next year. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Jamaican $194 billion in disaster losses spurs youth-led resilience push. Regionally, Pierre sets out growth mandate as he begins his second term. And internationally, Paramount launches $108 billion hostile bid to top Netflix's offer. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.